ready. It's my first time. Hey everyone, I'm Cranita and this is my first video on my YouTube channel where I take you with me as I navigate this stage of my life that I call my new chapters. I'm in my early 40s and unlike most of my friends, my kids are adults and I'm just learning how to parent adults and kind of what that looks like, not only for them, but for me. Because now I'm mom in a very different way and I have time to myself to rediscover myself, not in the way like to go back to before I had kids, but rediscover who I've become on this journey in life, my likes, my dislikes, and all that good stuff. In addition to that, we've downsized and relocated from the greater Houston area to Waco, that's all in Texas. And so I guess I'm gonna start from the beginning because this is the beginning for me and just take you with me on this journey. Whether it's to just share my experiences, you learn with me, we'll become friends because I only have one friend out here in Waco. So I don't really have a community yet. So I invite you guys to be my community. Let's just start from where I started from, selling my house. I'm going to give you some tips, things that I learned. I could be wrong, times change, things change, so it may not really apply to these times. But if it can be helpful to someone, I would like it to be. So I'm going to share what I learned listing my home and buying a new home. We moved from the greater Houston area, a bit north of Houston, to Waco. Why Waco? I will tell you another time. We're just going to take baby steps as I ease you into my story. It's truly a leap of faith. And it's truly a walk with God that deserves its own time because I have to get really specific and that's a long story. So we're just gonna start with what I learned from working with a realtor. Whether you're buying your home with a lender or with cash, it's one of the most important investments in life. It just really is. It's a lot of money going into one thing and it can go really well or really south depending on the situation. But with choosing a realtor, how do you know that you're making the right choice in the process? Let's talk about how you choose the right realtor, the interviewing process, and some good questions you can have prepared. You have to interview them. That's so important, and it's crucial in making sure your buying or selling process goes as smooth as possible. When you decide to sell or buy a home, the first thing you need to do is outline your expectations and decide the best way that you want to communicate with your realtor because communication is very crucial at this point. Some of us need full-time agents who are solely focused on buying and selling homes. Like that's all they do. That's their career. It's not a part-time job for them. And they're available around the clock within reason, of course, to communicate with you and just to focus on buying and selling homes. And some of us want part-time agents who are committed to other things, like they might have a full-time job or they might just be a realtor part-time, and that's okay too. But it's important to find out what type of realtor you want and then communicate that with any realtor that you're interviewing. The one error I made with selling my home is that I didn't make a list of what I wanted for myself. I didn't review I didn't even know exactly what I needed to do. I just knew my home needed to be sold. And so in selling my home, I went with someone that I knew through business. Wonderful woman. I still adore her to this day. However, I didn't know that we didn't align on the process of selling my home until I got into the situation. And then I had to move on to a different realtor. So to avoid anything like that, be sure you know what you want and you communicate that to any realtor that you're interviewing or going through the home buying or selling process with. So now that you found a realtor, you're like, okay, Credita, what are my questions? What am I asking? The first thing you want to know is whether or not they're a full-time or a part-time agent. We used a part-time agent before years ago when we sold our first home. So this time I knew that I wanted someone who was full-time, who had all the hours needed to sell my home, to commit to the selling of my home. The second thing you want to do is find out their communication style. Because of my schedule, I was available 24/7. I wanted my home sold, so I was making sure that I was available around the clock. Everybody's not like that, to be honest. Some people are, some people aren't, but you want to make sure whatever your schedule is, it aligns with their schedule. And the more you talk about this with the person and the more clear you make it, both of you can be happy, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to be miserable in this transaction, right? You want to be happy with the outcome, you want them to be happy with the process, and you want everything to go as smoothly as possible for both parties. If you prefer texting, emailing, or phone calls, be sure to communicate that with them, and then also find out what their preference of communication is. We were super blessed with our realtor because she preferred to text and email. She was a full-time realtor, which I really, really wanted. And she worked odd hours. I slept odd hours. So when her emails or texts came through, it worked out for us. But we communicated that on the forefront to make sure, like, hey, this is how I communicate. Do you like that? Works for you? Yes, perfect. And so we were able to move on from there. Another thing you want to ask your realtor to do is to provide a list of comps in your area. I'm going to include a link below from Zillow that shows you how to do that yourself. You can always double check on your own, but they should be able to provide you a list of comps so that if you're selling your home, they can say like, hey, I suggest this price. I think that's reasonable, because at the end of the day, you don't want to price your home way over market value. It's gonna sit on the market. It's gonna look like something's wrong if you drop the price too many times. And your realtor should be able to know this and advise you on, and the two of you should be able to talk about that. Remember, as the seller, you're the one responsible for paying the realtor fees. Typically, I mean, that can be negotiated if you want to, but typically in Texas, 3% goes to the listing agent, which would be your agent, and then the other 3% goes to the buyer's agent. Don't be ashamed to ask your listing agent what part of the budget will be used to market your home. And again, like I said, a house, buying or selling, it's a huge amount of money. It's a huge investment. You should know where your money is going. Like, you should have no qualms about asking, where is my money going? You should know. You should know. And not only that, you have to get to a point where you're comfortable discussing your likes and dislikes. You have to be comfortable saying, I don't want to do this process. Can we try this instead? The intention is not to hurt anyone's feelings, but at the end of the day, you're paying for a service and you should get what you pay for. Okay, so now the fun part. Your agent should be leveraging all resources needed to market your home and get your home sold in ways that a buyer can find the home on their own or through an agent that they're working with. So things like, is your listing agent's website up to date? Are they using social media? Social media in 2025, if you're not on social media, you're not marketing well. You need to be on social media. Let me share the importance of social media with you. My neighbor in that neighborhood where I lived before, she has a barnuminium company. One of her clients was using the agent I ended up using to list my home, to list her home. And I saw all the marketing that was going on, and I was like, I need this woman. This is the woman I need to sell my home. But all that to say, had it not been for social media, I would not have found her. So you want to make sure the person knows how to navigate and use social media. My agent's name is Lizeth Larios. She's amazing. I will link her information below as well. If you're in the Houston area, in the greater Houston area, you might want to check her out if you have a home or any property that you're trying to list. She's bilingual, so for me, I was very happy about that because that kind of opens up the market even more. The first time she emailed me, she sent me a full list of how she was going to market my home, the comps in the area, what she thought of the current pricing. And remember, my home had been on the market before. She was able to see those pictures and give me advice and let me know, like, hey, these photos don't complement the house. They don't show potential buyers the full scope of the house. Hence, it was hindering the sale of the house because initially our house just sat on the market. My first realtor used just dropping the price as her marketing technique, and it didn't work. So she was able to see all that. She let me know all that, which told me she was doing her job. She was doing her homework on my home. And then she was able to advise me and say, okay, hey, moving forward, here are the things we're going to do. Another thing I learned through working with Lizeth was that you should have a realtor who works with a team. Oftentimes things happen in life and you want to make sure your agent works with a team so that when they're not available, things keep moving smoothly and time is not missed. Remember, with selling a home, time is money, right? Time means that every day your home sits on the market, another home gets listed and could be competition for you. If your realtor's working solo and they don't respond timely to a message, it could literally cost you your deal. So Lizeth comes to my home. When the first time she comes, she just comes on her own to kind of just see the house, look around, give us some tips on like touch ups or landscaping or anything like that. The house had already been prepped the first time with the first realtor, but again, Lizeth came with like a keen eye and like a sharp attitude on, hey, we want this house sold. Let's do this and let's do this the right way. So she came and she gave us some advice. The house was already emptied out. We'd already moved all the furniture because remember, we're moving towns, we're moving cities. So we'd started putting things in storage, selling stuff, giving things away. So we were a little ahead, but she came with a plan. The second time she came, I thought it was like a movie. I was like, wait a minute, are we being filmed for television? She came with a team. They did drone footage of the house because our house sat on 5 acres. So it was really nice to kind of show potential buyers how the house sat on the lot that it was on. They did videos for social media, for Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. And another plus was that they did it in Spanish and English. So again, it like opened up the market to 2 different audiences, which was amazing. I mean, I want the house sold, so let's do all the things we need to do to get the home sold. One of the perks about working with a team was that each one of her team members posted our home on their social media. So it was really, really good promo for us. She never focused on dropping the price of our home as her marketing plan. She planned to market it at the price she listed it for. So we had an open house on Saturdays, on Sundays, or sometimes Saturday or Sunday, which for the people who didn't work with a realtor who just wanted to come see the house at their leisure, it was perfect for them. So after all her hard work, all her careful planning, a home sold in 40 days with her. She was so, I can't say enough good things about Lizeth. And it was in that moment I realized that a good realtor can make a huge difference in your home buying or selling process. You would think from my first experience, I would have learned, Crenita, you don't go with the first realtor you meet. You have to interview them. But no, and to be fair, in my own defense, I'd met my Waco realtor way before I learned all the hard lessons because from the minute our home hit the market, we started looking in Waco for a home. We were trying to time it with when our home sold to be able to purchase a new home. It didn't work out like that. But at the beginning of the journey, we didn't know that. We didn't know how things were going to go. And we were just trying to do our best in the moments every day so that everything just worked out in our favor. So let me take this time to emphasize, do your homework, interview more than one realtor, communicate well, ask them if they're a full-time or part-time agent, and make sure that you are both on the same page. The buying process is a little more complicated than being the seller. Now you're adding in a title company, a lender if you're using one, an inspector, and then there are all these other little elements that go into buying a home. And you want to make sure like you know what you want, right? What's your budget, which is something you have to discuss with a lender. And I can do a little short spill on lenders. We had an amazing lender. Her name's Erin Merriman. I'm going to link her information below. Because she covers all loans, 203K loans, construction loans, and we've done a couple of those types of loans before, so I can't give you advice. Like I can't tell you, oh, this is what you should do, but I can tell you my experience and just give you some insight on what it can look like for you. So let me know if you want a video on that and I'll do that as well. When we were going through it, I could find only limited information online, but I couldn't get someone to just tell me like, okay, step 1, do this, step 2, do this. So I learned a lot of things the hard way and I'm happy to share it with you guys because I wish someone had saved me and told me, but nobody did. So let me help you. So you have a lender, you know what type of house you're looking for. Make sure you consider things like the school zone. Like what school is this home zoned to? How far is it from your home? What is traffic like in the area? Drive around during the day, drive around at night. My husband and I, before we even told our buying agent what we wanted. Like, hey, can we look at this house? We would drive the neighborhood ourselves. We drove in the daytime, we drove at night, we drove on rainy days, we drove on dry days, so that we were just trying to not waste our time, like not go see something we really didn't want, and get a feel for the neighborhood ourselves, because again, we're about to live there. We need to know what it looks like at all times of day. Another keynote I forgot to mention is that there are realtors who work with investors. So before a home hits the market, they're aware that their investors want to, unload this house for whatever reason. And if you have a realtor who can offer you pocket listings, or the listings that have not hit the MLS, that's a perk. That's a huge perk for you as a buyer. Our realtor was one of those. Again, I can't decide who does it better, but I can tell you from my experience, Lizeth is a great listing agent, and Daniela Rodriguez in the Waco, Dallas area is a great buying agent. What I liked about Daniela, which really worked for us, is that I was looking for an older home to renovate. Our house is 100 years old, a lot of history, a lot of detail, exactly what I wanted. And because she does flips on her own and she works with investors, she was versed in what a home like this would need, what it would take to get it to what I would be comfortable with. I could ask her any questions, and I promise you, 9 times out of 10, she could answer it. And that one question she didn't have an answer for, she would be like, I'll get back to you. And sure enough, she got back to me. She was amazing to work with. Her knowledge, her resources. When we found this home that I'm in right now, she got the inspector out, she got the plumber out, the electrician, she got a contractor to check the roof and the structure of the home. She got a foundation guy because it's on pier and beam. She got someone to check the insulation. She got someone to come out and do pest control just to make sure there weren't like termites and stuff like that, but all within our option period. Like, she was so resourceful, so fast. Everybody was on speed dial. And what I really appreciated was that she didn't let me walk it alone. She was here with me when these people came out to check the house. And I think on 1 or 2 occasions, I wasn't available and she came in my place, but was on the phone, texting, calling, communicating with me like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what they found. So that was really good, because I've done a regular home purchase. I've done a construction home, which is build on your own lot. But this renovation part was super new to me and I needed guidance, and she gave me all the guidance that I needed. We were able to buy our home quickly. Again, aligning with the right people, doing your own homework and asking all the questions in the world makes the process so easy. Between Daniela and our lender and all the people who came out to the house, we closed in 2.5 weeks, which was amazing. It was smooth. I was ready to be settled because, mind you, at this point, we're going on almost 9 months of feeling this place, and I just wanted to feel stable. I just wanted to feel settled. In addition to the house purchase process, we have a lot of moving parts going on, which I'll take you on. We won't be doing this podcast type thing all the time. I just kind of wanted to like introduce myself and start from the beginning, so that when I start posting all my other videos, you're like, oh, this is kind of how we got here. But yeah, we closed fairly quickly, and so we're in the home. I'm gonna be sure to link everybody's information below. If you have any questions on anything I discussed in the video, please be sure to let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to share what I've learned. Again, I'm not a professional, so I'm not advising you. I'm just sharing. I'm just going to share what I've learned and help you out, allow me to be a resource to you. I can do a video on the loans, like the 203K loan, the FHA loan process. I can give you some insight on credit scores and buying down your interest rate. I can share some of what I've learned with that. Inspectors and the different types of inspectors. I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought it was just one inspector, but no, there's more. So let me know, like, subscribe, help me grow my channel, become one of my OGs, and I look forward to sharing all things with you as I go through these midlife chapters. See you next time.